estimated how many kilometers of cycling is done in Delhi on an annual basis. And I did the same for cars, I did the same for motorcycles. And by combining the number of people who die in each of these modes and the distance they travel on an annual basis, I get an estimate of risk. So what is the likelihood of a cyclist dying on the road per kilometer? And I mean, the findings are, one could say, expected, but they're still shocking. I mean, it tells you that a cyclist is about 40 times more likely to die for the same distance traveled compared to a car occupant. It's been close to 20, more than 20 years since then I'm cycling. So काफ़ी टाइम हो चुका है साइकिलिंग करते हुए, स्पेशली ऑन बिजी रोड्स. दिल्ली में साइकिलिंग का काफ़ी अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है. एंड द अनयूजुअल पीस इज जनरली पीपल साइकिल इन द मॉर्निंग नॉन पीक आवर्स. सो आई हैव ह्यूज एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ ड्राइविंग इन द पीक ट्रैफिक एज वेल. ट्रैक साइकिलिंग के लिए जो बने हुए भी हैं वो ऑफ कोर्स वहाँ पे अगर आपका एक स्ट्रेच एक किलोमीटर का कोई स्ट्रेच है जहाँ पे साइकिलिंग प्रॉपर ट्रैक बना हुआ है तो वहाँ पे ऑफ कोर्स एंक्रोचमेंट भी रहता है. वहाँ पे एंक्रोचमेंट होगा तो साइकिलिस्ट को क्या करना पड़ेगा? दे आर अगेन बाउंड टू कम ऑन टारमैक एंड ग्रेवल रोड जहाँ पे अगेन ट्रैफिक है. तो दैट्स हाउ आई सी इट. ऐसा नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं करा है, दे हैव डन इट, but at a very superficial level.
To see the data, 50% of this road crashes and deaths or injuries happens either in an intersection, okay, or mid block. Not along while you are crossing. Like mostly when a cyclist crossing or in a high speed corridor kind of thing. So 50%. We can prevent this accident by 50% if we treating this intersection safely. At least in intersection we are giving them safe crossing. At least in the intersection we have traffic lights. If you have traffic lights, then at least vehicles are stopping for these people to cross, giving them some space to crossing the intersection safely. Second is speed. Speed is the reason when these people get more vulnerable, because if a speeding car hitting someone, then probability of your your injuries or leading to death is much higher. There is multiple studies. If you are hitting someone in 30 kilometer speed, the probability of saving life is almost 60%. But if you're hitting someone on 60 kilometer speed, then there 80% chances that they get seriously injured or either they get die.
Is forget about building cycle tracks, is about how day by day we are making the lives of cyclists very difficult. So one thing that is being done now is blocking off mid-block crossings. So and blocking off these small junctions. So the PWD closes down the median, and that what ensures is that the vehicles can keep moving on. There's no red light, for example, and they are then converted to a U-turn down the road. And what that means is that cyclists and pedestrians have absolutely no way to cross the road with a red light.
Every single road is poorly designed. Okay, when you are looking into, you cannot compare highways with urban street. They need to design in very different way. Urban streets, we need to accommodate so many things, like including pedestrians, cycle tracks, street vendors. There is bullock car. There is so much activity happening in urban street. You cannot design in same way that you are design highways.
We don't have a like European countries, we don't have that trend that cycling को एक preferred mode consider करा जाए. It is still for masses. It is a leisure, and of course, when you go down the strata, there are people who don't have any option of cycling, and I feel sorry for those guys. जिनके पास option नहीं, because for me, I have an option. I can take maybe a metro, I can take a Ola, maybe I can drive to my office or maybe to commute, but they don't have option. Cycling करते हैं, and they use it for daily commuting. No, not like this gentleman. So that guy was working in Karol Bagh, and उसकी एक साइकिल PSA नॉर्मल साइकिल था. So हमने ITO क्रॉस करा, and we were like close to each other, and we were riding. तो मैंने उसको वेव करा, हाय. We started talking. मैंने कहा कहाँ से आ रहे हो आप? तो उसने बताया मैं करोल बाग से आ रहा हूँ. मैंने कितने टाइम से आप आ रहे हो? अरे it's been more than 10 years now. तो मैंने कहा यार ठीक है, इतनी अच्छी सर्विस है, DTC में जाओ, उसमें जाओ. तो उसने बोला यार मैं जा तो सकता हूँ, बट मैं अपने बच्चे की फीस नहीं दे पाऊँगा. तो मैंने कहा क्यों, ऐसा क्यों? तो मैंने फिर बातों बात में पूछा उससे. मैंने कहा कितनी सैलरी है आपकी? कह रही मेरी 15,000 सैलरी है. मैंने कहा ओके. मैंने कितने बच्चे हैं आपके? कह रहे 2 बच्चे ना. कैन यू इमेजिन 15,000 में आपको एक पूरी फैमिली चलानी है, 2 बच्चों की फीस देनी है, और उसका शायद बड़ा बेटा और बेटी, बड़ी बेटी थी, उस बड़ी बेटी के बोर्ड चल रहे थे उस टाइम. इट्स नॉट दैट फार, इट्स लाइक 2-3 वीक पहले की बात है ये. तो 15,000 रुपये में आप कैसे मैनेज करोगे? अगर कोई नॉर्मल इंसान भी अगर दिल्ली मेट्रो यूज करता है, तो ही डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू पे एटलीस्ट 2,000 रुपीज मिनिमम इन अ मंथ. इमेजिन 13,000 में आप फैमिली चला लोगे. आजकल किसी टीनेजर का खर्चा नहीं निकलेगा 13,000 रुपये में. द फैक्ट इज दिस. So I was surprised. So he was forced to ride a cycle. And for people like this, imagine if something bad happens, so who will be responsible for that?
The problem here is that, and that is true for any implementation, that it should be guided by the data. It should be guided by where are cycle tracks needed the most at this point. Of course, the ultimate aim is to cover the whole city with cycle tracks. But to start with, I would first provide cycle tracks where most cycling is happening. But if you look at the recent placement of cycle tracks, that's not where it has happened. And for example, if you go to Mathura Road or Jhilmil Industrial Area or Mayapuri Industrial Area, you will see thousands and thousands of cyclists. They are moving on the roads where often there is large volumes of traffic in general. There is large volumes of freight traffic also because of the industrial area. And I wonder why aren't cycle tracks made there?
Practice right now with the engineering department is the biggest challenge. We need to have, and the problem, why there is a problem? Because our engineering departments, they only have civil engineers who have studied only highway design. They have not studied street design. So all these departments who are designing, who are the decision makers, who are implementing and redeveloping our streets in our country, they should have a transport planner, a landscape architect, a urban designer, more architects. If you are not having this expertise inside your department, you will not able to visualize. And people who are designing, they need to walk, they need to cycle to understand the problems of these people.
Or cycling is so unsafe. Nobody is going to cycle out of choice. So you are not going to have car occupants or motorcyclists leaving their vehicles and deciding to cycle to work or cycling to school or colleges. That's not going to happen. That's the worrying part.
Government should make sure जितने भी आपके जो roads हैं उस पे proper जहाँ पे cycling आपके path बने हुए हैं. So I think being in Delhi, the place where I cycle, ऐसा नहीं है वहाँ पे cycling path नहीं है. उनका encroachment नहीं होना चाहिए. They should be properly highlighted. भाई you have a cycling path and you start using cycling path. And third is लोगों को भी awareness होना चाहिए कि भाई cycling path है, इसमें आप अपनी बाइक मत घुसाओ. because you may have seen it people using the bike on footpath as well. तो cycling path तो आप बहुत दूर की बात है. And of course the major responsibility is of the government, or it's of the government. भाई government को ही awareness करना पड़ेगा. As a person, as a citizen of Delhi and India, I can only support, but इतना reach उन लोगों का है. I can't make that contribution. I can maybe inspire a person, 2, 3, but they have the resources. They should put the resources, whether it is infrastructure, maintenance of that infrastructure, and of course Delhi government and the traffic police or traffic department, they also have a wider role to play, because a cycle path is something which is the neglected baby of the traffic police. So if they also pay attention, so I think things can improve.
How can we prevent these livelihood cyclists and pedestrians? First, for them we definitely need safe infrastructure. One, and second, we need to regulate speed in our city-state. We cannot create highways inside the city. Speed is very, very important. Many countries have slowed down their speeds in their urban streets to 30 km/h, which is easily implementable by a city government. Easily. You need to regulate speed in a particular street, right? So that is so easily doable. And then focus on infrastructure improvement, geometry design of intersections. Why it is so difficult to give a 2-meter space to a pedestrian or a cyclist?